Okay everybody, now that I've got the rafters all done, I'm starting to put the purlins up and continue with the roof construction. The more I do this work, the more I get a greater satisfaction out of completing the various tasks on any given day. I really do get a sense of accomplishment, especially when I compare it to much of the work that I used to do for my career within the United Nations and the Canadian government. Yes, there were some great things that we achieved working on various projects. Again, if some of you are new to the channel, I explained that I worked with the United Nations Development Program, or briefly mentioned that I worked with the United Nations Development Program for a number of years, and I've also worked for the most part of my career for the Canadian International Development Agency. If you're American, the equivalent would be USAID. If you're British, the equivalent would be DFID, or I believe what is now called UKAID. And also for the Department of Foreign Affairs in the Canadian government. The CEDA and the Department of Foreign Affairs have been merged before I retired, and they are essentially the same entity. And, you know, a large part of that work is to be very crude and to shorten the discussion, is pushing a lot of paper. And you're also keeping political masters happy, keeping them briefed, educating them, and spending a lot of time doing that, and in fact actually not a lot of time getting the work done on the ground. Having said that, as I mentioned, I was part of some great teams and managed some teams where we had absolutely impressive results on the ground, for example in many African countries concerning health issues and health programming, reducing under 5 mortality issues. Very rewarding work, but at the end of the day there was just too much of the paper pushing, feeding the bureaucracy and the red tape, and I'm feeling very fortunate that I have this opportunity at this time in my life to be developing this property, these 10 acres, with these various buildings that I've started to build at this time. With all the purlins in place, I'm now going to move forward with installing the roof. I first put up a layer of weather membrane and then move forward with preparing the tin sheets for installation, and you'll see what I had to do concerning the sheets coming up here. I'm prepping this metal under cover right now, and it's a little bit labor intensive because it's come off of an old barn, about 100-year-old barn. It's a classic tin roof and has several nail holes in it. It was secured by nails. And what I'm doing is, if you can see here where each nail was, I'm flipping it around. The underside is now going to come my top side. The current underside, which you'll see in the future videos, is quite worn. Anyways, I'm taking the burrs off of these nails because, as I said, I flipped them over, so the punch-through side is now my top side, if that made any sense. And just taking the hammer and going around and knocking down these burrs, like I said. So that takes a few minutes, and then once I get it up, I have quite a bit of an overlap with the method that I'm using to install these metal roof sheets. And then once it's dry, like it was yesterday, I have a caulking product that's used to seal leaks in metal roofs, and so I'm going back and I'm caulking all of the holes. It's not ideal, it may not be perfect, and even with the underlayment and the metal roofing and the caulking, I may have some leaks, but it's a shed, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. I hope it's 100% dry inside, but I'll deal with that as it comes. And of course there are other products that you can apply to a metal roof after you've got it up. Anyways, I like the idea of repurposing, and also this repurposed material, again, as I've said in on many many previous videos, is that it fits my budget. So there you go. And then once I've banged down the nail hole edges, I take the sheet and toss it up on the roof. See what I mean by weathered? That's the former top side on the barn. That's the underside when it was on the barn roof. And that's the side that obviously I'm going to
reveal on the top of the roof. Salvage mist.
Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe. I hope you like what you're seeing and that you plan to come back to watch some of the future videos.